Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring.
Boring.
Politics is more complicated than that.
Ow.
That is so
Boring.
cool. That is so fun.
My god.
Oh boy, my favorite show.
My goodness.
Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys.
God tier shit show.
How dare you?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
That is so cool.
Beta.
That is so fun.
Beta. Beta.
Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude.
Beta.
We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media
Beta.
structure and the propaganda.
Beta.
I'm right on the polling.
Beta.
I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind.
Beta.
That's undisputed in my mind.
Beta.
Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring.
Beta.
Politics is more complicated.
Beta.
That is so cool. That is so fun.
Beta. 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 1 second.
Oh boy, my favorite show.
My favorite show. Okay.
Boring. We
Hanz.
need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys.
Wait. Hanz of Hark. Cool.
How dare you?
No, not veganism. No one cares about that dumb
That is
topic.
so cool. That is so fun.
Look at Hanz blowing up.
This kid refused.
Oh my god, dude. That's so
Yeah.
big, dude. We gotta have a better
Yeah.
ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the
This is a
propaganda.
great look. Alright.
I'm right on
Give
the
me a
polling.
second.
Politics is more
Give me
complicated.
like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun.
Excuse
oh boy,
me.
my favorite show.
Okay. I need some good content real
We
quick.
need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here.
So this is a random stream at 5 p.m. so nobody's gonna watch. Except you 10 lovely people. They're in chat. Thank you for hanging out for a little bit. I'm only gonna be on here for this review, half hour, a little bit more than a half hour. I gotta go. I have other stuff to do. Um. Booksmarts is an idiot. The Booksmarts way to review debates in a very robotic manner has no, or it actually, the Booksmarts way to review debates in a robotic manner in this debate bro format has little to no utility in the real world, and he does the same thing for debate bros online that Jordan Peterson does to people who think they are critical thinkers, like centrists. I'm a centrist, I listen to Jordan Peterson, I question everything. Booksmarts uses the same fancy language to describe really basic concepts of rhetoric and makes it seem like, oh, I'm the rhetoric master. It's not really that deep, bro. It's really not that deep. It's not that impressive. It's using other content creators and giving edgy takes on them and their rhetoric and breaking it down. And I think some of it is good advice, just like I think some of what Jordan Peterson says is good advice. But it's, it's a fake, whatever. It's a gimmick. He's a fraud. Book smarts, more like book dumb. Quit hating on book smarts? Yeah. No, I tied my own tie. Okay, let me start this content. So, during the day, I am at my internship, and I don't really feel that good, but I had to rush home before my 3-hour class tonight, wearing my outfit, my uniform, whatever you want to call it, wearing my attire. I had to rush back to not home, but my dorm room, so I can review this Hanz versus Demonmama debate. Everybody is reviewing it. I know a decent amount about Hanz. We talk a good amount. So I want to go through this debate and give what I think Hanz is experiencing, and also my overall take on the debate, because people are really yelling at Hanz right now, canceling Hanz, and they're wondering why he approached this debate in the way he did. And I think I have a very simple and basic answer.
I genuinely did not expect like this level of actual bad faith from you.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't think you are.
I'm not.
I think you're exactly.
Hanz is known as the nice guy on Twitch politics and all of that stuff, and here they are debating mandatory schooling.
That's what I thought.
All right,
So,
have a good one.
and that's where we will end this.
So off the bat, Demonmama says, or not off the bat, but that's like a clip of later in the debate because it gets really ugly near the end. The reason I think Hanz is looking so excited when he comes in here, and you'll see after this amazing intro, by the way. It can be a little bit shorter. The intro can be a little bit shorter, but after the intro,
Who's ready?
he is
Who's
pumped
ready?
for
It's
this
time.
debate.
We
One
do a little debating.
reason might be for content. You have to ask him. He might know this is going to be fun content. Maybe it'll get him some eyeballs. You never know. It'll be a fun debate in general. I think the overall thing, though, is when it comes to the real world, this is the equivalent. You know that one libertarian debate when the one candidate, Gary Johnson, got laughed at for saying we should have driver's licenses? And the other guy said, "What's next? You need a license to drive your toaster or to use your toaster?" It's sort of like that. When it comes to pragmatism, this is one of the dumbest debates to even be having. So I think Hanz came into this so confident and so happy, and he's so joyous. He's going to be able to get such an easy slam dunk, and I think that's why he comes in with this energy, because the idea
Hello.
It's wild.
You are live. How we doing?
Why? Hello, my friend.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Seem pretty hyped for this, huh?
Oh, I mean, I'm excited. I just want to have a good discourse.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. So.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Where do you want to start?
I mean, I don't know. We can start anywhere. Like, you're the one who put up the video and put up the stream and whatever. We can start wherever you'd like.
Of
It's your call.
course. So let's start with the olive branch. Right? I think
Sure, yeah.
I think we both want
oh
to
my
improve
god, that was a loud one.
education,
allowed
right?
alert.
And so I would be in favor of
Sure,
things
yeah.
like, say, like no homework, better training for teachers, smaller
yeah.
class sizes, more,
yeah.
like more options, like not just like the memorization box, like some people in chat have like said. I think there's a lot
Yeah,
of
sounds
ways
good.
of currently fixing education, but I think where we differ is that I still believe in mandates for some flavor of education, one of these types.
Well, yeah.
Another thing they are doing, by the way, to make school easier on kids, they're giving kids like mental health days or basically like free days off they can take during the year in some places around the country. Now, more rich and affluent families, their kids will probably use these days for dumb reasons in most cases, maybe for a vacation, these free days, but it really does help to have these days for the poor kids or for whoever might have an issue. You know, you never know what's going to come up, and having free days off school really helps some people.
Because we have
there's a lot of ways
it
to make
appears
current
we have very
schooling better.
different sort of perceptions on how the state should be involved in these sort of things.
Okay, so
Yeah,
give me.
and I have a problem with a state demanding that children have to go to a school, especially a school system that's deeply, deeply flawed. Yeah.
So unless the school is perfect, would you? So quick question: would you be okay with mandates if school was perfect?
No,
Okay, so then like, that point doesn't matter. So
I mean, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean that point doesn't matter?
you said like you had a problem with state mandating like imperfect schools, and I asked if you'd be okay with the state mandating.
Yeah, no, I said especially when they're imperfect. But
Okay,
yes,
so-
I don't really believe the state should or the state has a right to force people to do something that is something like education. I think you can make a more salient argument for something like vaccines, where it's a viral vector, it's a force of nature that there's nothing that we can really do about, that people spread to other people. So I know that the first thing people tend to go to on
So vaccine mandates are okay because if I'm not vaccinated, it may hurt you. But education mandates are not okay, and Hanz will bring this up. Because apparently me not being educated hurts nobody else. Now, in a democratic format, if we look at democratic theory, we know that an educated populace is necessary for a democracy to function. If we even want to have, if we want to have like a republic, like we have in America right now, you need people to be educated so we don't have a idiocracy. We need to avoid that. That's one thing. Also, basic functions of society. How do you think water gets into your homes? How do you think electricity gets to your homes? How do you think cars run? How do you think anything works? You need people to be educated for everything, for rational decision making. People who have more education have more rational and critical thinking abilities. They are able to sort through personal issues more. They are able to raise kids better. They are able to do so many things. You know, people being educated is existential for every part of life, even to more of an extent than a vaccine is. If I had to pick an education mandate versus a vaccine mandate when it comes to saving lives and improving the quality of life for people on Earth, 100% I would choose an education mandate every freaking time. The vaccine mandate right now is, I mean, maybe a vaccine mandate if we're talking like 300 years ago. But right now, the current COVID vaccine mandate, hell no, I would much rather mandate education so people have to go and learn and go to the public school system. And another reason, this is about policy. This is another reason that Hanz probably is laughing as he goes into this conversation. We have public schools for a reason. We bring all of our funds together to make sure everybody, or other than private schools, but to make sure everybody can go to the same school building, so everybody can get the same education in your area, so everybody can be on the same sports teams, the poor kids and the rich kids, so every parent has a place to send their kids during the day. So poor parents in areas that give free school lunches have a place where their kids can get a meal in the middle of the day. So parents who have to work a 9 to 5 or something like that, those parents don't have to watch their kids all day. From a public policy perspective, this is collectivism 101. This is how a society functions. And for someone like Demonmama, who pretends to care about these ideas about like socialism and coming together and working as a coherent government, all of these things, is playing this like dumb libertarian anarchist, like, oh my god, we should have no schools, we have to just like make schools more appealing than other things in society. That's what she says later. That we need to make education so good that people decide to go there on their own. She would never use that standard for literally anything else, dude. If we had a society where nobody wanted to work and we couldn't produce food and we couldn't produce any type of technology or we couldn't produce medical devices, we would have to mandate work too. We would have to do that in that society. Things that don't need or things that people don't want to do, that there is a certain amount that we need done, we have to make that happen somehow, in some way.
And I've seen this online. Is oh well, you would use
It's utopian bullshit.
vaccine mandates. I think that's a really complicated question, much more in depth. On a larger scale, I'd say no, but that's because a vaccine.
Yeah, and with an education mandate, something like a vaccine mandate, something like a mandate to get another form of education might not be necessary because you're educated and because you have better media literacy, because you have more of a we look at the numbers right now. People who have, a high school degree versus not a high school degree. High school degrees get vaccinated at a much higher rate. So a vaccine mandate wouldn't even be necessary in that area.
Has to do with spreading a disease to other people, and vaccines are largely valuable not just for the self, but for stopping a disease that's killing people.
Is my microphone messing up again? Is it good now? Is it fixed? It does that sometimes. Hello, let me know. Please. Is it good now?
I don't think we can make that argument for school.
And I would disagree. I would say that a society where 15% of the population not knowing how to read or write in society, I would say that is absolutely that. Like,
I agree.
Okay, so
but I agree with you.
Okay, so if we agree with that, then my question is:
Is it okay now? Is it good now since I unplugged it and plugged it back in?
I do not see any way that we can improve schools to the point where children will choose schools, or their guardians will choose schools, depending on, like, if we say the guardians are pressing the kids as well. If people will choose to go to school over literally anything and everything else they can do, how can we make school literally the best?
I think that's like a bit of an odd hypothetical to set up, but
this is super necessary.
Hold on a second. Let's hold on a second. Let's deal with what you said there. So you stated that 15% of our society being illiterate and whatever, and I can't remember what the other thing that you said was, is really bad. I agree with you 100%. I just don't think that the solution is mandatory schooling. I don't think that mandatory schooling helps at all. I think that there's so many ways. If you can't imagine an alternative way besides threatening kids or their parents to get them to participate in school, I think that demonstrates the problem with the schooling system as it currently exists.
Now, in a socialist utopia, if we live in a world post-scarcity, where nobody needs to do anything for society to function. We live in maybe Elon Musk's future of pure automation. We live in Wall-E, all right? We're on the spaceship. We are doing nothing except consuming media and rolling around in rocket chairs. If we lived in that world, Demonmama may be correct. But we do not live in that world. So we need some preparedness with our people. Every citizen needs to have at least some basic level of being able to take care of themselves, and also they need the capacity to do things like understand law, not like a lawyer, but understand what the law is, understand what the social contract is. They don't go into complexities about this, but they understand it. To understand at a base level why the world functions as it does, so they make better financial decisions, so they're better with kids, so they're for all of these things, and also so they can hold a job. And you might want to say like, oh, that's a product of capitalism. Schools are actually meant to keep capitalism functioning, because we just, schools are geared towards just making people good workers so they can just learn a bunch of BS and then they just go into the workforce, which is partially true, which is why we need to make schooling better. But yeah, we don't live in that socialist utopia where nobody has to do anything. So we need people to have a basic level of base understanding and skill and ability to function in the world. Yeah, we do need more practical classes. I think we need more critical thinking classes. Schools have historically been for daycare and also to get people just at a base level for survival. And we want it to be better than that. But the answer isn't to make it not mandatory. If we made it not mandatory, what would happen is a complete 2-tier or 3-tier system where the ultimate rich people or whatever, they will send all of their kids to private academies, and then a couple middle class families will send their kids to school. And then even at the policy, poor kids are not going to be going to, even now they go to bad schools, but poor kids would not be going to schools in general. But from a policy standpoint, how would you function in society? How would you fund a school that people go to in an optional manner? How would you even fund a K through 12 school that would work like that?
It's miserable for a lot of people, especially neuroatypical people.
And yeah, sure. Budget classes and stuff like that, how to do your taxes, but they don't want people to have too much financial literacy, because.
I say this as somebody who is not only neuroatypical, but also succeeded very well in school, and also grew up in a cult. I don't think that mandatory schooling addresses any of the meaningful problems that we have with education, all it does is
Demonmama brought up the cult that her family was a part of, and of course, being a trans person and growing up in a really fundamentalist religious family would give you a lot of distrust of certain institutions. Like she had that big controversy like a couple months ago about like self-diagnosing yourself, about not trusting doctors too much, all of that stuff. I understand her like past experiences and maybe past trauma may influence why she has these takes, but that doesn't make the takes any better. But they should, you should take into account why she may view things as she does. Don't force people to go to, don't force them to go to school. Don't trust your doctor too much. I don't know.
mean that there are punishments for the child and their family for choosing to not or deciding not that they don't want to endure that system.
Okay, so let's handle these separately. The first one is that we have a problem with the schooling system. Again, I agree with you. I don't think that's what we're debating on. You said that the school is bad for neurodivergent people. I am very much in favor of improving school for people who either think differently or have anything else that makes school harder. I am all for improving it. I still want to mandate them to have school. And I know you said
So this tweet from Joe Lewis after watching the Hanz versus Demonmama debate. Hanz, I strongly recommend you read up on education further. That was really painful to sit through. There are easier ways to burn bridges with Demonmama. So, I'm not sure how to interpret this. He doesn't give any other information about what he is intending to say with this, other than, I want to be condescending right now and make you feel dumb. Joe Lewis does this all of the time on every panel he's on, with Trump supporters, with other people on the left that disagree with him. It's 100% his fatal flaw, his worst flaw. He can't get any points across to people, and I think he's a good guy. Or I think he's a smart guy. I meant to say smart. I'm not saying he's a bad. I don't know him. But I think he's a smart guy. But the way he talks to people isn't such a, not even abrasive, but like I said, condescending. He talks like he looks down on people because he's so smart. He's so academic. Other people simply can't get on his level. So with this take right here, I'm not sure what he is trying to do. I think his rhetorical style and his approach to dealing with other people is very harmful for liberation movements when it comes to talking about the facts of it. So if you're talking about systemic racism, or if you're talking about gender dynamics, or right here he's accusing Hanz of being negative against feminine presenting people because Hanz has debated two women in the past few days and gotten into really rough arguments with both of them. Now, if you're going to bring up those issues, or with systemic racism like I saw with him and the Trump supporters, you probably don't want to say, I always bring up the wording of toxic masculinity and white privilege. You probably don't want to say, you have privilege and you are, you simply don't understand because you haven't read up on the academia of it. I suggest you read up on it. Here is my 20-minute monologue about why I'm correct and you are wrong and you are dumb. You have to approach people where they are when you're talking about these issues, or you're being pretty self-defeating. It's just really interesting. But they're going to debate tonight, and hopefully that'll be fun too. Thank you, Hanz, for starting all of this talk. Very fun.
And so what I'm
Yeah, Daniel. I want to like Joe a lot, but he's so condescending. And I just know from real life experience that doesn't get you anywhere when it comes to getting people on your side. I mean, if you want to talk to people who already agree with you and you want to say things in the most complicated way possible and gatekeep literally everything, then fine. But if your goal is to be a movement of addition where people can join in, and so if somebody literally has a mix-up in their head about these issues, that person can come to me and say, hey, I don't understand this. And they don't feel scared to do that because they don't think I'm going to look down on them. But if you get someone like Joe up there, it's going to be like, oh, you're going to call me an idiot, you're going to say I'm dumb, or you're going to act like you're going to treat me with a demeanor that makes me feel lesser. So then other people who might be in the middle have a negative reaction to that and then get deeper into the opposite side. So I'm against that style in general, and I wish everybody would do something different. I don't like it when Vosh is condescending. I think he gets really condescending. I think Xander Hall, I think Demonmama does. All the Vosh descendants are really condescending. Destiny is when he feels like it. But yeah, I don't know.
asking is, how do we ensure that we get enough of society, because you agree that's a terrible thing. It's like if we have like a portion of society that can't read or write,
yeah.
how do we get them to voluntarily
Yeah,
choose?
being nice isn't content. Now with this entire thing, Hans is getting a lot of eyeballs on him, growing faster than ever before. But to be fair, Hans's nice reputation has gotten him a lot of play because he gets hosted by everybody, or not everybody, but you know, he gets hosted a lot. He gets a lot of people on his panels. That's how people grow on Twitch. It actually surprises me Hans hasn't grown quicker, and like Dr. Hemed out as well, how they haven't grown quicker. Because from every angle, there are communities supporting these creators because Hemed and Hans are both extremely nice, extremely charitable, extremely cordial. So a lot of people like them. So it's really interesting. So I guess yeah, you do need controversy to really grow, to get people to be really interested in your content.
Choose this like education system, or the new one, like the good one that we made, over literally anything and everything else they can do.
Does Hans have a YouTube? I don't know. I really don't know if Hans has a YouTube. I don't. Does anybody know that? I don't know. It's crazy, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of ways to do that. Like literally, there's so many. There's like almost an infinite amount of ways to do that. You can entice them with interesting things, stuff like, I don't know. There's like a million ways you could do this. You could offer some sort of things like, I mean, one great example is like the free lunches is something that gets a lot of kids to show up to school. That's one thing because it addresses an economic.
The free lunches are not something that gets kids to go to school. That is something that kids need to survive. That's not a... Dude, they aren't saying, I want to go to school because the food at school is better than the food at home. Demonmama, they are saying right now, I'm going to go to school to eat because I don't have food at home. My mom and dad can't afford to buy me food. So if you want to make school mandatory on the basis of the hungriest kids need to go to get their meals, and I know that's not what she's saying. I'm not going to be that uncharitable. But it's hard to make points out of this because it's all really bad reasoning and bad logic. But like, you know what I mean? No one... Bro, they had us drinking chocolate milk and strawberry milk with pizza. Come on.
Issue that prevents kids from going to school. It really depends on which part of the school that you're trying, or which part of people avoiding schooling that you're trying to deal with. So, like,
okay, this is Hans's YouTube channel. Okay, Hanz of Harkir. It's right here.
You can
We're
name a reason why somebody wouldn't go to school, and I can try to give you a potential solution for that issue. I just don't think that, like, even in the absence of solutions to these individual problems, that justifies mandatory schooling, that justifies using the threat of law or the threat of the state against to force people who are deeply either suffering in school or who, for whatever reason, don't feel like the school system is ideal for them. I think.
But you said that the suffering, like,
and there are exemptions in reverse for children, and it's different all across the country. But if a universal model of schooling doesn't work for certain children, maybe if they need special accommodations, maybe they are, what's the correct phrasing? I'm not. I don't know. Neurally atypical. What's the word? Neurodivergent. I don't freaking know what the correct term is. I really don't. What is it? Can somebody help me? What the correct term is for? I don't even want to say anything because I don't want to say the wrong one. But yeah, if you need help. If you have a need that needs to be fit, that is done. If you got to go to cyber school, if you need special tutors, those are things that are already provided in current school.
Like, the badness of the school is irrelevant to like the mandation of like people going. Like, what if we had like the perfect school?
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a million options where like,
yeah, sure.
like,
you still don't get to force somebody to do that.
Okay,
you don't
but
get
like
to force someone to go do something like that, especially with no reason. What reason do you see? Here's the thing.
I can give you the reason.
Wait. Hold on. One of the things that's been annoying me about this conversation is that it's presumed that you must force people to go to school. There is nothing that says that you have to do that. There's no claim that you have to force people to go to school. What gives you the right? You have to give a reason for why you think someone should be forced to do something. If you are making the argument for why we should force people to do something, you have to give a good argument for that.
Of course.
I don't think there's a good argument to force people. I don't think it's a good thing to force people to do something that's like quote unquote good for them. Because I think there's a huge problem with coercing people into like your particular like world.
Okay, so one argument you can use for this on normal people, and by normal people I mean non-Twitch politics streamers that do debate panels, like Hanz and Demonmama. So if you talk to somebody on the street about a policy, she just said she doesn't think the government should be using the power of the state to force people to do something just because it's good for them or what we perceive to be good for them. So like, oh, we shouldn't force kids to get vaccinated. Oh, we shouldn't, or not kids, but we shouldn't force people to get vaccinated. We shouldn't force people to go to school. We shouldn't force people to do things. We shouldn't force people to eat healthy. We shouldn't force people to do certain types of therapy. We shouldn't force them to do anything. One sort of like thing you can say is with a lot of people who played sports in high school. Sometimes if you want to be good at a sport, you need, and this is a really normie conversation, but you need a coach that's going to say, hey, do a couple laps, do a couple suicides. You got to work out. You got to do this workout. This is going to be good for you. I'm your coach. I know because we've done data. We've done studies. We have done the data. We have done studies. This is the workout that's going to get you to your peak performance in this sport. Sometimes people need to be nudged along. Sometimes people need to be told like, hey, this is good for you. This is good for you. Even if you don't want to go to school, it will help you. It'll help your family. It'll help our entire society. And you not wanting to go to school doesn't mean we all have to suffer the consequences. And of course, there's arbitrary lines with vaccinations and military and all that stuff. But when it comes to school, and that's why you have a whole legal system and all that. But when it comes to this conversation, I don't even know if that example would work. Maybe it would work with a couple people who are like, I played football in high school. Ooh.
View. And I think that there's arguments.
Coach made me do extra push-ups, and I wish I would have done even more push-ups when Coach told me to
convince people that your way of doing things is better. I just don't think that forcing them with the power of the state is the answer to that, especially in this particular context. I think there are places where you could argue that like force is more justified, and I think that we could run down that path. Like I said, natural disasters, plagues are ones where it's like, okay, if we don't step in here, other people are going to die far beyond this person. But that's not the case with school. You don't have that impetus.
Yes, it is.
So here are the two best.
It's a bigger case with school.
Reasons I can provide for why we should force somebody to go to school. All right.
Excellent.
First one, personal betterment. If wait, ready? If existing in society is it is necessary to have a certain degree of skills, whatever those skills may be. It may be basket weaving, it may be hunting, it may be reading, writing, arithmetic. Any of those things, if you need it to exist in society, you probably should know it for your personal benefit.
No.
I let you talk for 5 minutes. Please let me go through. It's 2 points. Please, God. So it will help them do better in society, and for especially extremely young children, where these formative years are extremely important.
Well, ignorance can lead to violence. I don't know in what way you mean, but even understanding complex things happening in the world, like for example, when the pandemic happened and everybody ran to the store to buy like toilet paper, having some type of education or like fundamental way to look at the world, or a better way to process the world, may be the difference between a bunch of people rioting over toilet paper and not rioting over toilet paper and rationing it. Or like if there's a gas shortage, like when that ransomware attack happened on all the East Coast gas or pipelines or whatever. When that stuff happens, when a lot of complex stuff happens in the world, it's hard to comprehend. And information is more complicated and convoluted today. It's worse than it ever was before because of social media and the internet and all that stuff. So we need even more people to have a better understanding of how to comprehend that stuff and be able to work with it. If we have if we didn't have mandatory school and 40% of people just didn't go to school. Oh my God, I might do a whole video later once I have more time. Hi Kevin. Okay. I might do a whole video later on what would happen if we didn't have mandatory schooling. To our country and to our entire society's function. It would literally fall apart in a year, in a couple of years. It would fall. Every aspect of society would fall apart. We'd be in such a bad caste system. Oh my God, dude, I don't even want to go into it right now because I won't be able to do it justice, but
I do not think they are personally capable of saying, oh, I will choose just to never go to school, and that's better for me. And you're saying you can't force someone to do something that's good for them? But we argued, I'm not going to talk about the vaccine stuff, but
I mean, I think it's a poor comparison. But
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Tristan, I said, democratically speaking, you do need people to understand how to read and stuff like that.
I would say that in this specific case, being able to interact with in society in a way that lets you like do literally anything inside of it, like you can't order food off a menu, you can't do like you can't like get a job, you can't like do hobbies that require this activity,
Sure. Okay.
and this will permanently like make you worse off. It's like if people don't learn to read until like 10 years old, it's harder for them to learn to read. So what are we going to do then? We're going to permanently allow people to cripple themselves in terms of their capacity for life because of that. And then the second argument is societal. If society requires people being able to do these things, read, write, basket weave, hunt, and we don't get them to be able to do it, society will functionally collapse because people have zero skills to keep the society functioning. I think those are two very good reasons as to why we should coerce someone. I'm not saying forcing someone to school isn't coercive. I'm saying it is necessary coercion for the, like, the good of society, for the good of like keeping anything existing. So I would ask, what would we do for the super young kids, for like the 3-year-olds who don't want to go to school? Are they capable of making that decision?
Yeah, sure. Have you ever talked to a 3-year-old?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Have you ever talked to a 3-year-old? What would you do about the 3-year-olds that don't want to go to school?
Because,
Interesting.
I don't know if you know this, but like as a matter of like child psychology, like children are
Little
actually pretty
young.
receptive to new things. They don't understand the world. They naturally seek guidance from parents. This is like a reason. Like this is discussed so fundamental. Like we know this is why children are vulnerable to even negative things like abuse and things like that. It's because they trust their parents. They trust the adult figures in their life, and that trust right now is often taken advantage of and used to be really abusive. And that includes with the school system. You can
A lot of parents wouldn't send their kids to school if they didn't need to as well. Let's say you're like a poor kid born into a poor family. Going to school because you're required to by a law, or your parents will get fined, might be the only chance you ever have at social mobility. It very well might be the only chance you ever have to improve your standing. That's why I'm saying, having universal education at the level of K through 12, although we need more of it through the new infrastructure plan, the human infrastructure plan. Having universal K through 12 is one of the biggest proponents of social mobility we have in the United States. And it's so agreed upon that the only place you would ever have anybody questioning that is in a really cringy Twitch politics community. That's the only place this would ever even be brought up. Because for the past, a lot of years, education has been the bedrock of being able to survive. And that's why the rich restricted it to the rich, and the poor kids were taught to just be the poor workers. They had to watch the rich kids walk to school every day as they were like dusting, as they were sweeping the roads and working in coal mines.
You can tell a child, hey, we're going to go to school today. Isn't that fun? You're going to meet new friends. You're going to do this thing. And most kids, they're going to go. I don't remember a single time in any of me or my siblings' childhood where anyone had a problem going to school. It was ever even necessary to issue a threat because we were excited to go there to learn, to have yummy foods, to meet our friends, to talk to our
Bosch
teachers.
is much better. What kid wants to go to school? It's not fun to learn. This is a big meme on Twitter and on TikTok and stuff. But a lot of things that produce anything are not fun. A lot of things that have fun conclusions are not fun in the beginning. If you want to start running marathons, it's going to suck when you run your first mile until you work your way up. It's going to suck when you lift your first weight until you work your way up. It's going to suck trying to learn a new language until you work your way up. It's going to suck going to school and trying to get smarter, because when you go to school, when you have a job, when you do anything, you're starting with nothing. And you yourself are having to put the work in to produce and to build. And, that process is difficult, but you come out with something better at the end. So that's why you need to force or coerce people to do things, because not everybody has the foresight. Not everybody has the ability to see what the investment is going to do, what it's going to pay off to do in the future. So it may seem like a short-term loss. Oh, I have to go to school for 7 hours a day. I have to go through all these classes. I have to do all this homework. I have to do push-ups. I have to lift. I have to run. I have to do all these miles. I have to work so hard. I have to play this many hours of Rocket League to be good. I'm not going to go into the negative. That seems like a negative transaction for most people. And not everybody can reason with the fact that you need to take a dip at first with your time. You need to give your time and effort to get a positive in the future. So you need to say, hey, do this. You need parents to say, do this thing. Learn from my mistakes. I did not do this thing correctly. Now you should do it correctly because it'll help you. And that's how we keep progressing in society. It's a basic fundamental thing. I'm banning JoJo. JoJo is, oh my, I just can't deal with it. Actually, no, I don't ban JoJo. It's good for the algorithm. Jolah is so trusting of all the centers of power in society, and he calls it pragmatism, sheep. That's amazing. Whenever they see me on, they just log on to say that. Okay, I actually cannot finish this right now. I have IRL stuff to do. I think I gave enough takes on this debate. I might revisit it tonight and listen through it again. If I have time tonight, but I have grocery shopping to do and I have a 3-hour class. So thank you guys for hanging out for a little bit. I'll probably leave the VOD up. I'll post it as a video. I don't even know. I don't know what this channel is anymore. I'm just trying to get through. Just trying to survive. Probably could have had a good stream too. We busy though. Do a part 2. Yeah, what a sheep. I like reality. I don't even know if it's worth it to go through the end. I might just post what I have now. Because a lot of what other people did on this, like Booksmarts and Destiny, they evaluated a lot of rhetoric and Hans's approach. And I just care about the policy. And I think Hans, his approach during this, getting upset and getting like really confident and, you know, boasting almost and being very braggadocious and all that, I think it came from the idea that this is such a laughable discussion to even be having, to even be having right now. It's like a libertarian saying we should not have driver's licenses. We shouldn't force people to not drive drunk. We shouldn't force any, like, dude, it's such a, I don't know. You pick and choose what your favorite thing is, and that can not be mandatory, or that can be mandatory. I don't know. No real principles, or no real anything. And yes, Vacha is much better.